Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome. How are you all doing today? It's so great to see you in chat. Thank you for being here. I am so excited and honored to be presenting today some really incredible information that I think will be super helpful to broadcasters, hopeful actors out there, anybody that wants to do any work, in this kind of space, or just want to learn a little bit more about how to listen and fine tune your body. Hi, hello. Hi, Mage Amazed. Oh my gosh, hello, Askin. Hello, welcome. Molly Berry's here. Wilkie's here. Hello. Birchie Frou Frou. Hello. JB, thank you so much. And Meadow, thank you for gifting all of those subs in the chat. Oh my gosh. Happy Bear, hello. Cammy is here too. Tom Stranger, hello. Thank you. I don't know why my brain was just like not getting the words out of my mouth, Birchie. Sorry about that. Hello, Sunrise. Hello, welcome. It's really wonderful to see you in chat today, and I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you adding to the conversation and being in chat. Grim Salad, hello, welcome. I want to make sure that I say hello to everybody here. Reaper is here. Zadie is here. Thank you so much for being here. Bobby's here too, by the way. She's sleeping while we prepare for our very wonderful conversation that we're going to have today. We have some experts from the Lessac Institute. And we have some broadcasters that I know you all know and appreciate here on the platform. And I want to just make a shout out, first of all, to Meadow, of course, for putting on this virtual theater festival. It is going to be an incredible event that goes on from today. This is the first event as part of this series of events until September 15th, with all kinds of incredible people participating. You got Thormangander in there, Curly, Soma's gonna be doing some cool stuff, Smirky, I see you in there, Molly Berry, everybody's gonna be, participating in their own unique and amazing way. And I am so excited to see what this week has in store for us in terms of incredible programming that I know everybody has worked really hard and putting together. But so without further ado, I'd like to bring my guests on stage because they have a lot of really cool information to share with you and things that we typically do not get to cover here on Twitch, which is pretty exciting. So I'm going to bring everybody on so they can introduce themselves. Hello, welcome everybody. Let me make sure that everybody can hear you. Yes, they can hear you because I have done that before. Streaming is very fun and very technical. Welcome. Classic, classic streamer brain, forget to unmute everybody, but welcome. So I would love it if we could go around the room and introduce ourselves, so that way everybody everyone knows who they're talking to and what we're going to be covering today. So I would like to start with Crystal, then go to Jeremy, then go to Meadow, and then go to Little Percent. So feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, thank you so much, Ash, and thank you so much, Meadow, for bringing us into your living room space today to have this discussion. My name is Crystal Robbins, and I am a Lessac Master Teacher. Lessac Kinesthesia is a body voice system, and I've been teaching this work for about 20 years. And I'm really excited to talk with you guys about how this work can intersect with the work that you're in charge of as Twitch streamers, and just excited to be here. Does that give you
Yeah,
what you need?
I love it. I love it. That's really great. And I love that you've been doing this for so long. So I feel like we're going to get some really rich and deep information, that's going to be super helpful. I'm so looking forward to learning from you tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Jeremy, please tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Oh, I think Jeremy, are you muted? Can everybody hear each other?
There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Levi, and thank you, everyone, for hosting this event. I am an actor first and foremost, and I'm a newly certified Lessac teacher. And I've known the Lessac work since the late 90s when I started at Santa Monica College, and I'm a forever fan.
That is awesome. Well, welcome in. It's so great to have you. I can't wait to hear about what it's been like. With you learning everything about Lessac and being a teacher and being an actor. That's going to be really awesome. There's so many things that cross over into the streaming space, so I'm looking forward to that. And side note, before you start, Meadow, I just want to say thank you to Federal Ghost for the raid. Fed, it's so nice to see you. Welcome. It's really, yes, I trust them to you. Thank you so much for coming in. So for my panelists who might not understand what's going on, a raid is when another broadcaster finishes their show and then they bring their wonderful community on over to join in our conversation so that they can be a part of all of the magic that's going on here. Thank you so much, Fed, and it's wonderful to see you. Please give the puppy some pets from me, please, and thank you. And Meadow, go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Also, I just have to say that was so relatable. When do you go by Fed, or is that you have to you have to have the relationship that Ash has with you in order to use the nickname? Either way, I'm definitely gonna follow your channel after this. But I just loved when you put forgot to copy my own raid message, because that's me every single time, every raid. Thanks for sharing your community with Ash while we're here for this panel. For anyone who doesn't know me, hi, my name is Meadow, and I am freaking out now that it's my turn to talk. Sorry. Okay. Uh, I am an actor first and foremost as well, although not everyone who visits my Twitch channel knows that. And also want to say congratulations to Jeremy on becoming a certified trainer. That's so exciting in your journey with Lessac work. I am also a Twitch streamer who experiments with serial storytelling as a backdrop for episodic content. I've experimented with interactive mysteries on my channel. I like building worlds in OBS and playing around with green screen, and I also produce virtual theater on the platform. I'm also a newly appointed leader of the Twitch Women's Guild alongside Ash Said Hi, and I'm so incredibly grateful and honored to get to advocate for marginalized streamers on this platform, and couldn't think of anyone better to work alongside to do that than Ash. And my introduction to Lessac work came through Crystal. I have studied with Crystal starting quite a few years ago now. I studied with Crystal for about 3 years, and then in 2021, I attended a remote intensive with the Lessac Institute. And something that people who attend my streams might not know is that it's a goal of mine someday to also be certified like Jeremy.
I love that. Meadow, first of all, thank you so much for all of those kind words. I feel very and equally as fortunate to be working alongside you. And I really love what Meadow does in the space. It was honestly the first time I found Meadow's channel was the first time I saw interactive, live, what felt like production, acting, theater. That was the first time I was exposed to that kind of experience on Twitch. So that's why I believe, in trying to help and amplify those kinds of those kinds of niche kind of work on Twitch. It's really cool, and I want to see more of it happen. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Meadow, for sharing that with us. Little Percent, please tell everyone about what you do.
Hello. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Little Percent. You can call me Percy for short. Most of my chat does. I'm also an actor like Meadow. I'm also a streamer. I think my first introduction to Lessac was actually through Meadow. I don't know if you remember this, but we did some in our little like group thing that we used to have when we first met as actors. And then we did it for Romeo and Juliet a couple months back on Twitch. We got trained by Crystal, and that was lovely. Yeah, so if you show up on my stream, you're going to hear me talk more about acting, and you're definitely going to see some RPG gameplay. It's not necessarily good gameplay, but it is a fun time. So that's what we're here for.
I can definitely also relate to the, is this good gameplay or not good gameplay? Oh my gosh.
Saw you doing Oblivion the other day, and I got excited for you, and I was like, that's the only game I'm good at.
Oh my gosh, it's such a joy to play, honestly. I have a good time with it. Thank you so much for checking that out. Well, thank you everyone for all of those intros. And I could even say from a personal standpoint, I am not an actor, but I am very curious about acting. And I'm very curious about what we have to do to kind of train our bodies to be in that headspace, to be prepared for a role, or be prepared to be vulnerable on the stage, or show like all of the different aspects of a character when we're on stage. So I can't wait to hear more about this. So tell us a brief overview of what is Lessac for people who don't know. They've never heard of it. They're curious about it like I am. What is Lessac? Who is Arthur Lessac, and what philosophies underpin this approach? Like what do we have to know to be a part of it? So I'm going to start with Crystal on this one, and then go to Jeremy, and then Meadow, and then Little Percent.
Thank you. Arthur Lessac was a foundational figure in the 20th century for voice training, body training, speech training, as it was known then. And just to give you a perspective of like a general idea of who he was born in 1919. So when I say he was this huge figure in the 20th century, it's because his life spanned across because he didn't die until he was 101. And in 2011. So he credited very much his use of voice and body work to his longevity, because his voice and body work is grounded in healthfulness and in wellness. So long before, somatic work was kind of a known thing, he was already developing a system for how to, as a singer, because he started in singing, how to use self-soothing techniques to keep his voice strong, to keep his body loose and connected and grounded. And it was a way for training himself that he began to see as applicable to training others as well. So the name Lessac Technique, which is what I'm wearing today from last summer's workshop in Conway, Arkansas. The name kinesthesia is kind of a made-up word, not kind of, it is a made-up word that he coined to sort of name the different parts of what his work consists of. So I'm just going to break that down. And that is kina, which is based in movement, because everything that we do with our voice is movement. The vocal folds move right here. They move to create vibration, to create our sounds. So kina is a part of that word. Sensix is a root that's based in sensing and in feeling, and in particular, feeling through the senses rather than the intellect. Like the intellect has a place, it has the brain has a function, absolutely. But Arthur's primary awareness of what he was feeling in the body in order to guide healthy sound and healthy voice, healthy experiencing was absolutely fundamental. So we have sensing and feeling. And by that, I don't mean something like, oh, I'm feeling this in a kind of a hippy dippy kind of a way, but rather what I actually literally perceive, what I perceive sensationally in my mouth, what vibration am I sensing? So we have kina and sensing, and the last part of it, kinasensix, is about sick is Latin for that which I experienced before. So his work is grounded in things that we already know as humans who function, as humans who exist in the world, just relatable things that we can all reach out to know how to experience our voices. For example, let me not be esoteric about it. Let me give you an example. We all know how to yawn. I don't have to teach you how to yawn. We all know how to yawn. It's a part of functioning. And yet, if we can use yawn as an instructional tool to help us with certain key ingredients with our voices and with the loosening of the jaw, the release of the jaw, we can feel an ingredient of yawn. And you can experiment with this right now as well. If you just think that you're going to begin to yawn, just that beginning sensation of a yawn, you'll notice something happens with space inside your oral cavity. I don't have to teach you to yawn, you know how. And so then that can become a teaching tool that you can feel, that you can use to create a new habitual awareness. So that's my starter intro into it. We learn through feeling, we learn through things that we already know how to do as human critters that walk upon the earth, and we want everything to feel good. We want to use what feels good to us to teach our behavior, because if it feels good, we're going to do it more. If it feels like work, or if it feels like it's hard to do, or if I feel like, oh, I have to go do my exercises, I'm really not going to do them. But that's kind of the initial foray into what this work is about. Feeling through things that feel good to us that we already know in order to teach ourselves, so that we are constantly getting that feedback within ourselves. Something doesn't feel good. What can I do that feels good that's going to give me some release right now?
So it's probably normal that as you talked about yawning and I thought about yawning, I naturally wanted to yawn. So that's a part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw that happening and it made me yawn as well. And then I had some yawn action going on inside of my mouth, which brought more space in, which impacts my tone. Like
Interesting.
if I don't have space inside my mouth, if my teeth are close together,
Yeah.
and I don't have a lot of space here, and then I'm trying to communicate, like, can you just even hear how that changed the quality of my tone?
Right. It
Like, you can
definitely,
probably also,
yeah, it gives like, there's one emotion behind the clenched, and then there's one emotion behind the more free feeling of I just yawned and now I'm relaxed. I have a different presence. So I understand what you mean by that.
yeah, yeah. And the other great benefit to just incorporating the idea of what we call kind of a constant condition of a little tiny bit of yawn space in the mouth is that it's also just beautifully releasing forwardness here in the cheek muscles, which makes us more expressive.
Wow.
And as communicators, like you want to move people with your work and with your art. You want to share and have an impact. And in a subtle way, if these muscles are tight or frozen, or they're pulled back out of fear, or out of a sense of clamping down, you're not going to be as effective as a communicator. We won't be as effective. So that yawn releases, that little tiny 10% of yawn releases not just space between the teeth and in the oral cavity for beautiful tone, but it also releases literally the facial muscles forward so that we can communicate and move our audience.
Wow.
It appears genuine.
Yeah. Who would have known all of that knowledge was tucked away in the science of yawning? Chat, like this is so exciting. Like I will definitely not take that action for granted anymore. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was just like, oh my god, Ash, please don't yawn. You don't want people to think that you're like falling asleep or whatever, but now I can make it useful, you know? Now I can make it useful and I love that. Also, I love the idea of wellness. You right? Like a lot of times we're sitting in our chair, we're not moving around and stuff. And I love the idea that this technique is foundation is its foundation is in wellness. I mean, what other proof is in the pudding if Arthur Lessac lived to be past 100? That's pretty incredible. So, yeah. Jeremy, I would love to hear your perspective as well about, you know, Lessac and, you know, what it means to you and a bit about your story with it.
Well, first of all, I would love to say that when I first started at Santa Monica College in California, I started taking an acting classes. And then I saw that they offered voice development for the stage actor. And I studied with Kathleen Dunn, and then followed by Crystal Robbins, and then Crystal Robbins, and then Crystal Robbins. And again, probably with Crystal Robbins, because this work was transformative. It felt good, like Crystal said. It was something that I wanted to know so much more about. I had some vocal, not issues, but just stuff that I wanted to work on personally. And I kind of became addicted to the work. And it's a good thing, it's a good addiction. And one day I wanted to know so much more. I went to a payphone at Santa Monica College, put my quarters in, and I looked through the phone book and found Arthur Lessac. And he lived in Santa Monica. Up on the phone, and we started chatting, and I just wanted to know more from the person who developed this engaging and, like I said, transformative work for the actor. And he invited me over to his home, and I just thought I would kind of talk about the person he was. He was an inspiration. He was like always walking, wheel walking. Wheel walking is a wonderful tool for the actor. And he lived in a building where there was an elevator, but Arthur took the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur was very involved in health and wellness, and my inspiration about his work comes through movement. Instead of taking the elevator, he took the stairs, and he would go jogging on the beach and just staying fit. And I was like, gosh, I hope I could do that when I was around his age when I met him. And I just wanted to know more and more about the work. And so I took my first intensive in 2002. And I was very fortunate that Arthur was there, probably doing it for a week. And then in 2005 as well. So I got a wonderful opportunity to work with him. And he was just a very radiant person. He loved people, and he gave the best hugs. And I just wanted to talk about him as a person because, in my mind, he's like a legend. His work is so useful for the actor, but just not for the actor. There's so many other mediums and other categories, like for people young kids who maybe have speech delay. I mean, and people who have strokes. I mean, there's so many. It's just not for actors, and so it fits in for everybody. And so couple months ago, I became a certified trainer, and I'm very happy to be here today. And yeah, Arthur was a man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. That is so beautiful. I love the hearing the perspective of not just, the technique itself, but the person behind the technique. That is a really, really beautiful story. And it helps us to kind of understand the intent behind this whole program, because it's not just I want to get better at acting, I want to be better at, performing, or, like things that have some kind of metric value, but also I just want to live a better life. I want to live a more healthful life. I want to be able to move and feel the moment. And I feel like that's like something too that I feel like I'm getting a sense of from this programming, is like, how often do we get caught up in like the moments of life where things just go by really fast, and then we forget to do simple things like enjoy the process of a yawn. You know what I mean? Like, that is so cool. You're really making me think about things. Okay, Little Percent and Meadow, what tell us about your experience with Lessac and what it means to you.
Yeah, well, I first want to just call out, in the interest of easing, I tend to just be really open and vulnerable on stream, which Ash, you've already seen from when you've had me on, about calling out moments when I have social anxiety and things like that. So I want to acknowledge that we are varying degrees of knowledge here spread out across the panel. So I'm sort of here to represent someone that's like midway in having had some experience with this work, and Kira has had a little bit of exposure to this work.
Okay,
Probably more than
gotcha.
she gives herself credit for. And then, Crystal and Jeremy actually worked with Arthur and, have that higher level of training. What I will say, though, is that my experience of discovering Lessac Technique through Crystal's teaching was thinking, like Jeremy, I went into it for training as an actor and ended up thinking, oh, this is just information on how to have a voice, like an owner's guide to your voice and your instrument for human beings. And I found myself thinking, wow, I wish this was something I was raised with or something we were taught as just part of our normal programming in schools. There is so much that we can do with our voice to connect to our authentic selves. And I think this is actually really related to our mission with the Unity Guilds, Ash,
Yeah.
because the actual word persona, right? We're all familiar with setting up the persona that we stream through and the way that we manage being in front of our chats and sharing with our communities and just having that on-camera presence. Persona, when you break it down, means through sound. We express who we are and how we show up on stream with the sounds that we're creating. And I know for me, every anxiety, every 24-hour stream that I was, 18 hours into going, why did I do this? Anytime that I've just had a moment on stream where I needed to really recenter myself, or maybe I was speaking about a charity we were fundraising for, and I wanted to make sure that I really did that in a voice that would resonate with my audience. It's so helpful to have these little reminders of being able to. There's something in Lessac called Why Buzz, where I knew if I was on an E kind of sound as I was speaking, that I could find this sort of resonant place in my voice and reground myself in that. And I love what Crystal was saying at the outset of this panel about this being something that's about how it feels to you in your body and feeling good, because these are techniques that anyone can use in your life outside of streaming as well, to relax or to energize yourself or recenter in who you are. Also, hi Dee, so good to see you in chat. And I love everything that Jeremy was sharing, because I'm jealous. I never got to meet Arthur. I've only heard stories from people who have. But also, even if we all have different abilities and different things that we can do physically, and being able to stream is often a space where we come together, people who are housebound for various reasons. I spent a long period of my streaming career just having so much anxiety that I didn't really go outside. And so what I really love about these techniques is that no matter where you are in terms of your physical capabilities, or the ways that you move, you can always use this as a means of self-soothing, as a means of reconnecting to your authentic voice as a means of grounding yourself in the moment, as a means of calming your nervous system. And I think all of those are tools that are incredibly empowering for us to have as streamers. And especially because, okay, I'm going to ramble a little bit more and then I promise I'll wrap up.
No,
But
you're
something I get
good.
really passionate about, I truly believe anyone who goes live on Twitch or, as a digital creator, when you hit that go live button, it's because you have, hey gnome finder, it's because you have a story to tell, right? There's a story in you. And this might sound cheesy, but I genuinely believe that every streamer has a particular medicine to share, and that's why communities form around them. That we are able to make an impact in our communities and in the broader space, rippling out from beyond the digital creator space by the way that we show up in our channels and the way that our stories come through us and the way that those connect with the stories of people who come to hang out in our communities. And so feeling really empowered to share our authentic story in a way that feels good to us, in a way that's taking care of ourselves as we do it, because we all know how emotionally laborious streaming can be as much as we love it. And being able to connect with your authentic voice is so inextricably bound up with being able to share your authentic story and the unique medicine that you're here to offer. So I'm really excited to be part of this and to have this connection to Lessac, and that I could, help create a bridge to bring that to Twitch. And Ash, that you're giving us a platform here in your community to share about it, because I think that in all the training that we do as streamers and topics that we cover in streamer workshops, we often don't look at these elements of how to really empower our voices and our stories and take care of ourselves.
Yes, 1,000% yes. And I am a huge advocate of getting more training like this or more information like this in our space because like yeah, I resonated so much with what you said where I wish that this was something that was kind of taught while we're in school, because I feel like there's so many things that we're asked to repress while we're in school, like stay in your seat, be quiet, don't move, like, you know what I mean, where it's like, well, if we taught people how to be more mindful about their movement or more comfortable with their body, like maybe we wouldn't have to be so much more restrictive. So, and that goes for, like lots of things that we do in life. Like, I feel like there's so many things that we kind of hold back on because we feel like we're not allowed to be ourselves. But maybe if we taught these kinds of techniques, we would feel a little bit more comfortable with being ourselves. And I really love that. I really love what you're saying. So yeah, and I know that you mentioned that you and Little Percent maybe have a little bit less expertise. So with this question, I'm gonna modify it a little bit. Little Percent, maybe you could tell us the first time you experienced a Lessac training, how did that impact you? Or like, what did you think the first time you did a class?
So I've never, I wouldn't say I've officially had a class. So those are kind of two questions for me. The first intro I had to it was
Yeah.
I was in like an acting group with Meadow, and Meadow happened to be like, I know this Lessac thing, let's do this. And I was like, cool, I'm down for that. That was probably 4 years ago. And then with Romeo and Juliet, I had, I guess it was a class. It was kind of like a session, like a workshop with Crystal, who definitely was able to refresh some of my memory on the things that I already had kind of learned from Meadow, and then expand upon it. But I loved what you were saying about like in school, I wish we had learned this, and I agree with everything Meadow had said, because when I was in high school, I very unironically would do the like High School Musical like brr, brr, ma, ma, as my like voice warm up, because I didn't know what else to do. And so now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I know what I can do. I can do my little wide buzz. I can do like the energies that you do in Lessac. Yeah, so I don't know if that answered your question exactly, but that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, gosh, yeah, in high school, I was an actor, but no one ever trained you on like warm-ups. And so I would just like Sharpay it up in the green room a little bit. And now I know that, well, now I kind of do that for fun sometimes, but now I know that I can do like, you can do the voice work, and you can do the buzzing, and you can do the energies, which is probably my favorite. But I feel like the Lessac trainer should probably talk more about what those are, because I don't know that I can necessarily articulate very well what they are. Yeah.
No, that was
I
absolutely
feel like I also
helpful.
rambled on that, but
No, that was great. That was great. And you know what? The reason why I love that perspective, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, Meadow, correct me if I'm wrong. During the Romeo and Juliet, I'm pretty sure I joined a session, and that's the one where we, kind of had to like loosen our body, and then we were like standing and sitting. And okay, so as a person who had never experienced anything like that before, and it being completely like, what am I doing? Like I felt like awkward in a way, but then it made me realize, like, why did I feel that way? Why did I feel like weird about, making these kind of movements and stuff like that? And then I thought embracing it was like it was like brand new for me. And so I was like wrestling with these emotions in my head, but it was cool because it was like, yo, I'm pushing myself to do something and also getting to learn about myself better through this interesting technique. So that's why I liked it. And I like that you also talked about, like, I didn't know like how to do these things in high school, but now I'm finding out like this is how they're like connected. And so you're doing something natural, but also is a part of this. And that's like what we learned about with the yawn. Like, it's something natural, but it's also a part of this. So it's reframing the way that we think about it. And I like that. I like that. So let's move on to the next topic. What would you say to someone who has never done this before, who may be a little shy or timid about moving their body or exploring movements in this way? Like, how can they feel comfortable? Like, I want to sign up for a class, but I'm nervous. Like, what should I do? Like, what is there something in the Lessac training that could help somebody feel more comfortable doing it? And I'll probably start with Crystal first.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the first thing that I want to just acknowledge is that it is completely normal to have that nervousness, to have some fear or some uncertainty about it. That's normal. And there are a lot of tools that one can call upon to address that. The first is to recognize that it's important to normalize that if you're moving into any sort of a training, that you need to involve a little bit more of what you might do in everyday life. That you want to move into how you can reinvest that childlike curiosity that we all had as children to investigate our world and to explore. I love the way that you put that. And so some of our techniques that might help with that, our approach, we would say to that, would be to just jump in and play with it in a small dose at first. So say the invitation from the facilitator was to begin to, shake a little bit, to release some tension. We all, even animals, will shake to reduce tension, right? Your dog will shake off its nervousness, or it's when it's been asked to heel, the dog will shake it off when it realizes that it's going to need to move forward with what its owner is asking it to do. And so if the invitation is to feel a little bit of shake, what would it be like if you just invited a little bit, maybe the amount that you feel comfortable with? Because we all want to work within the confines of where in our own personal uniqueness, where that invitation lies. And then maybe that will embolden us to become a little bit bigger with it. So if I'm asking the invitation to really feel some big shake in the body, to shake the shoulders, to shake the hands, to tap the toes, maybe you could start with just the eyes. Can you bat the eyes? Can you find a little wiggle in the head? Can you find a little bit of release in the shoulders? What does that feel what does it feel like to embody just that? Is something getting loose? Is something opening up? And can that lead to a little bit bigger shake in the process? So that's that's where I would like to see the work meeting you where your needs and your comfort place is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even as we're all kind of sitting here doing our little version of it, which I highly encourage chat to do. If you want to go ahead and like shake your eyes, shake your, shoulders and stuff. I'll be honest with you. I do these all the time and I get nervous, and this is really helping me not feel so nervous.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to be transparent too. I want to be like, I want to call this out like Meadow did for myself. I was really nervous about this.
Yeah.
We haven't done a panel on this before. I've been teaching for 20 years and taught on Zoom for 4 years, all of my classes, of course, during the pandemic. But because I sent you a message and I sent Jeremy a message, like, I'm nervous about this. And what did I find myself doing right before we were going live? When you said we were going live in 10 minutes, I was sitting here and I was finding that little bit of shake, and I was finding a little bit of hum, just a little gentle, easy hum, really focusing and narrowing my focus on the contact point of where my lips were meeting, and just tasting what that contact point vibration was. It's a tune-up. That begins to be a warm-up for you, because it is bringing in vibration and tone. It's bringing warmth to the vocal folds in an easy, open kind of a way. And it relaxes us too. It calms it invites that parasympathetic nervous system action to happen. It reduces that fight, flight, fawn, response, and it allows the body to be in connection and in harmony and in grounding. It's a grounding tool to shake. It's a grounding tool to have the body yawn. So if you could invite the body to yawn as well, and I know that's something that we did in those sessions. If the body stretches and yawns, and I am doing this not just with my arms, so I have space underneath my desk and I'm reaching my feet and my toes out in different directions as well. This is something that streamers can do, right? You can do this in your seat, and notice that energy is coming into your cellular matter when you invite yawn. Like, literally, what is a yawn? It's the body. Okay, let me backstep. The body doesn't yawn because it's tired. Hear me out here. The body yawns because it senses it needs energy. Your body is so brilliant, it's so wise, that it is sensing, I need energy right now. And the quickest way to send that energy to every cell in your body is that oxygen that is an energy that is pulled into the cells through yawn. Whether that's here, or the yawn of my hand reaching, the yawn of my spine as I'm sitting here, I can yawn. I can think the crown of my head yawning to reach the ceiling, the tailbone yawning in the opposite direction so that my spine is stretching as I just sit. So let me do that for you right here without you seeing anything. I can do that without you seeing anything, but inside my body, the crown of the head right here, the back of my part line, is reaching up, and the tailbone is reaching down, which is providing lengthening through my spine, which is giving me some more energy while I sit in this session, just like that. So just because we play with things in a big way when we're doing the warm-up, or the tune-up as we call it. We play with it in a big way so that we know what we're feeling. And then we can do it in a small way. We can do it in a small way, and nobody has to see what we're doing. But right now, I just invited a little bit of shake on the inside of my belly. And I think it might be coming out my eyes and in my voice. Just from feeling it on the inside in a small way.
Oh my gosh. This is like, I love this. And I really hope, like, chat, that you go back to the VOD and you really, really like listen in on these different techniques, or listening in and doing it with us, because it can totally shift your mood, especially if you are like, you know, a sloucher like me, you know, totally somebody who's at their desk all the time like me and is not used to being fully aware of, I didn't even know I could yawn with my body. And now I'm like, I'm going to try that every day. That's really cool. So I want y'all, maybe Jeremy, you could start us off with sharing some simple energizer relaxers or any tools that might be helpful to streamers, that you think could, you know, really make an impact on what we do before we go live and maybe after we go live, or even like when we're taking a Be Right Back break. Do you have anything to add with that?
Okay,
I
there
don't
we
know.
go. Can you hear
There
me?
we go. Yeah.
Here?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Yes, things. I will start with pleasure smell. That is a body. It calms the mind. For me, it's a little bit of a mini meditative moment. It's about connecting with your body, bringing your hands pretty close to your nose, like about this far. And it's about like thinking about maybe what is your favorite food? What is your favorite dessert? Is there something in nature that just, it smells so good? Whether it's like the ocean or maybe it's the rain. Um, it's something that really is a self soother within our body. And you can stand, you can sit, and you kind of cup your hands about this far. You imagine that fragrance, you know, and the memories that might be behind it. Like it could be a scent of a candle or a flower or pine trees or anything that like takes you back somewhere. So then you get into the moment of the pleasure smell and you think about that. You focus on your breath, you close your eyes, and you breathe it in. Breathe that smell. Maybe it's brownies cooking in the oven or Thanksgiving dinner. Whatever works for you will work in your body. It will take you back. And if you need a moment to yourself, that to me is one of the best body relaxers that we can do in life. And yeah,
I love that because it works on so many levels with my brain, because first of all, I'm always talking about food. So it's easy for me to kind of be like, "Oh, let's take a moment, chat, and envision us embracing the scent of our favorite food." You know, that is such a grounding moment to bring us back to reality a bit, and just like kind of enjoy that moment. And I love that. And I love, Meadow, that you said you're imagining onions in a skillet, cuz I feel like that's something that's underappreciated. People like are so polarized about onions, and I love them. So I'm glad that that's yours.
I would actually love to jump in, Ash,
Yeah.
because anyone here from my community, I know Trey would recognize this, and I think they had to jump off to their D&D session. Wilkie will recognize this, but I had for the longest time, I mean, it's still there, we just haven't done as much ASMR in quite some time, a redeem, a channel points redeem for our visiting trainers who might not know. If you're hanging out in Ash's chat right now, you might notice you're starting to collect these little counts down below the chat box. And those are like points that people watching Twitch can turn in sometimes if a streamer has set this up for them to get certain rewards. So we had a channel points redeem in my channel for 5 deep breaths. And it would always be starting with a pleasure smell. So anybody from my community who's come for ASMR, is one of my most popular redeems too. has gone through this where I've described cupping your hands together and imagining this scent, and a very similar prompt to what Jeremy gave us, and then all of us breathing together. So this is a really fun thing to share with your community. Definitely resets everybody.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Meadow. So you say you do that this as channel points. Do either you or Little Percent have any other things that you do on your stream where you're utilizing these techniques while you're live and encouraging your viewers to join in?
I have one, but I don't want to. I want to give Kira a chance to jump in if she wants to.
Yeah, I was actually thinking earlier when we were doing the big stretches, I was like, I have a big stretch redeem on my channel, but I would love to do like a Lessac specific one, because thinking about it as a yawn, I was like, oh, that's just so much juicier.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be updated coming in the next few days, truly.
I love
I
that.
love that. That just makes me so happy. I think Arthur would be over the moon to know that there was a witch redeem for a good muscle yawn.
There, one I want to bring up is humming, because it was actually Crystal who taught me that humming is another way of energizing and relaxing yourself. And so that's something, especially for my other ASMR creators out there, but I really think this applies to all streamers because of how much time we spend, often talking for hours on end. But especially with ASMR, where I would spend many hours whispering, it was so helpful to make one of my redeems humming, which is generally a quite popular ASMR trigger in general, to have someone like, touching a fluffy mic cover or something like that while humming softly is quite soothing to people. So chat would redeem that as something that they were enjoying as an ASMR trigger. But on my end, that was always, I would make that like not cost a lot of points for people to redeem, because every time that they redeemed it, it would give me a chance to reset my voice and to energize and relax myself, and to just find that feeling of vibration again after having been in a whisper, which is very hard on your voice.
That's good to know. Yeah. And I love that there are things you can do to kind of offset, maybe, like if I've been sitting for a long time or talking for a long time, I can use some of these exercises to kind of offset the strain that I'm putting on my body. I like that. I like that a lot. I have a question for Crystal and Jeremy. Like, do you think that for anybody who's like an actor or a broadcaster or whatever, like that Lessac training is something that you should do when you're a novice, or like can anybody join at any stage in their career, or is this something that's more like foundational that they should learn if they're starting their journey?
I can jump in here that the work can meet you wherever you are.
Okay.
Like, if you have an interest and a curiosity and any amount of time to seek out how the work can help you, it can. And it really doesn't matter how old you are or what your conditioning is. There is a way to apply the work. I'll circle back around to the comments about about the wish and the desire to have learned to have done this as a kid. And I saw that in action with my own daughter when she went to preschool. I saw I saw that she was coming home and telling me how she was creating letters. Like maybe she had learned the letter T that day, and according to the way she was being taught it at the preschool. And so she was like, Mommy, I learned how to make the tea. And I was like, oh, show me. And she went like the force and the constriction and the the efforting behind that sort of scared me a little bit, to be honest. And I was like, oh, I didn't show that. I was like, oh, and how do you make Mommy's tea drumbeat, which I had already taught her. And she said, oh. And light bulb moment, Mommy needs to go volunteer in preschool, so that I can work with the teachers in the preschool class, whatever their syllabus was, whatever they were going to introduce that day, I would also introduce it my way, so that there would be a carryover for them. And as a consequence to that, I began to do that every single year and spent about 16 years of taking this work into elementary schools and at every grade level. And I eventually ended up getting some grants to do that with an arts organization, and saw how the work could be transformative to that grade level as well. So whether one is working, as I know one of our other, several of our other certified trainers and master teachers take the work into working in senior living spaces, into nursing home spaces, into we have certified trainers who are speech pathologists who are working with people who are recovering with strokes and with um, uh, vocal pathologies and vocal different types of vocal paralysis or dysphonia issues. The work applies no matter what. So I think I segued a little off of your initial question there, but there is a platform for whatever the need, and we're developing more and more as we go along. Jeremy, do you have anything that you would add to that based off of that initial question?
Yeah, I would just say the work is of any age, at any time in your life. It doesn't have to be like when you go to drama school or in early college, or be whenever you feel that there's a need. For example, for myself, as an actor, there were things that I needed to know about the voice that I wasn't understanding at the time on my own. So, like I said before, I signed up for voice development classes, and that was the most perfect time for me. So everyone is on their own journey, you see. And so if there's something inside of you that says, ooh, this is something I would like to tap into, this is something like I would want to know more about, how can this benefit me? There's you just start when you want to start, when you're feeling something inside. Also, I wanted to say that when I drive in the car, I hum when I'm stressed in traffic, especially in Los Angeles. Humming and why buzz is very therapeutic. So I just wanted to add that on as well, because that's something that I do in the car, and it really is a game changer. It really does soothe me. It calms me down. It makes me more present in the moment and not getting frustrated with terrible drivers. But yeah, I would say start voice development whenever you feel ready, just like a singing class. I mean, sometimes we hear from people, oh, you're tone deaf, or you can't, you're off pitch, which could put things in our head. Don't let people say things to you. I mean, I had a step grandfather who used to say that I was tone deaf, and I believed it. And it took me years later to start taking a singing class.
Oh my God.
But when it feels right, it's right, do it.
Okay, I'm having a hard time not getting emotional here by what you just said, because I told Meadow this yesterday, actually. If there was one thing in my life that I wish I had more training in, or I wish I could do, it would be the ability to sing and be able to control my voice, right? I think I've even told Savannah this too, because it's something that kind of like brings me life and makes me feel like a lot of joy. But throughout my life, people have always told me, oh, Ash, you sound terrible. Or they'll make the joke of like, oh, who sang that song? Yeah, keep it that way. You know what I mean? So hearing you say that, it kind of breaks a barrier in my mind to be like, oh, maybe I can do that. And it also took me many years to be even comfortable with the idea of being able to say that out loud. So I'm really glad that you shared that story, because that's very, very
you.
like moving. Yeah, that's really nice.
And I
So
would
yeah,
just add quickly that it's
yeah.
like, if you can change the narrative in your head, and if somebody says something about your voice, whether you have a lisp or you can't sing, you can change the narrative. Because you can. Arthur said everyone can sing.
Wow. Thank you. And I hope chat, like, I felt like that was very selfish for me, but I hope chat, y'all got something out of that, because I mean, I feel like a lot of times in this space too, we also deal with imposter syndrome. There's a lot of anxiety and a lot of, just feeling unsure of the impact that we're making in this space. And I feel like training like this helps you, if you're comfortable in your body and you're comfortable with your body as an instrument, then you will gain that confidence to be yourself unapologetically and be able to, do things that maybe that little voice inside your head is like, you can't do that. Like, no, I can. Yes, I can. I can, because we're giving ourselves the grace to explore and learn how to move or how to be. So I love that. I really, really love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Ash, can I throw in a question actually?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I'm trying to remember the exact phrase that I've heard you use before, Crystal, that expresses the. I'm hearing my voice come back for some reason. Sorry. That expresses the philosophy of the Lessac Institute about already having a good voice, and I just felt it would be so appropriate to share right now.
Yeah, Arthur used to say, don't envy a good voice, you have one. And we all have we have a personal uniqueness, not just in our fingerprint, but in our voice. Nobody has your voice. It's sublimely unique in the world. And when we have had those comments that have been told to us, they begin to shortchange what our capacity is as we listen to that narrative, And I'm grateful that you shared that, Ash, when you had that reaction, and that Jeremy shared that as well, because it's something I come across all the time, that we we may not know how to do a certain thing that we want to do in singing or in speaking, but if we can have that growth mindset for how we internalize that maybe I don't know that yet, then we always are giving ourselves the option of seeking out how to have that, because we can. There is a solution. There's always a solution.
I love
It's
that.
actually very, very, very few people are actually technically tone deaf. It's like almost an anomaly,
Yeah.
So don't envy it. You have it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm seeing a lot of really great things in the chat too. A lot of really beautiful points are being brought up, and a lot of really beautiful stories are being told. So I really want to call out, thank you, chat, for sharing all of these great sentiments with us today. And if you're comfortable with me, sharing any of this and asking any questions, please let me know if this is a question you want me to ask, for sure, because I would love to do that. Or Meadow or Little Percent, if you see anything in chat you want to call out too, please feel free to do that. I want to give y'all the autonomy to feel comfortable to be able to do that. And I want to also give Meadow and Little Percent a little bit more chance to chat about how maybe Romeo and Juliet, how, those experiences when you did that show and were able to do some of the coaching, how some of those those techniques that you learned helped you, and how in streaming you can carry that stuff over and maybe even share with other streamers that would benefit from it.
Do you want me to let you go first, Percy, or may I jump in with something and then hand it off to you?
You look ready. Do it.
Okay.
Whatever
Yeah,
you got
I
to
was
say.
poised. So actually two things, and one might take us on a slight tangent, but since you offered to let us call out things in the chat, I was curious to see if what Happy Bear Lives posted about their experience was something that maybe Crystal could respond to. And then I can come back and chime in. I wasn't actually a performer in Romeo and Juliet, even though I wanted the performers to have access to Lessac technique as part of what they got out of that project, because people put so much into that project to make it what it was. And I really felt they should get something in exchange that they could carry with them thereafter. And that was why I asked Crystal to come in and coach. So I can speak a bit to how it just helped me stay calm during that project. And I can speak to how we're using it now for Importance of Being Earnest, which is coming up later in the theater festival, because our dialect coach for that show is also a Lessac trainer, who Jeremy and Crystal both know well. But pause for, to heighten dramatic tension. I will now pause that thought and go back to what I saw in chat from Happy Bear, if that's cool, Ash, and then maybe a person can jump in and I can cap it if anything Percy has shared about Ernest.
I would love that. Yes.
I can't words. If she hasn't already covered everything, is what I'm trying to say.
What was the question? What was the Happy Bear question? I don't.
Okay, I'm so sorry. So the question is, as a trans woman who has had vocal feminization surgery and is still looking for that missing piece for her feminine voice, I'm wondering if Lessac training would help me find that.
Thank you so much. My thinking is yes, because it's about working with the range that you have, and there are all parts of the voice are capable of being sung on and of being wherever your range is, we can play with it, and we can extend that both higher and lower through the act of noticing what we're feeling and then finding the next noticeable step to allow that next noticeable moment to be felt. So as an example to that, if I want to explore, again, a contact point can be very helpful in the beginning. Maybe just, let's say the tip of the tongue resting behind the two front teeth. And if I want to just hum on that and discover what feels comfortable in my vocal range, just up and down, slides and glides, right? Just your personal Happy Bear, happy music with that. Noticing the vibration and just exploring what that feels like. It's going to give you that little launch pad into a different tone than you might be normally sitting in for your range. And that's what we're looking for, is what is a launch pad into a higher range or a lower range. It applies on both ends, because I could speak higher and want to develop lower as well. So if I'm normally here and I'm normally, no, I can play there too. Now I have access to lower tones that maybe I wasn't using, which would have been the case for me as a young actor. So the reverse can also be true. Can I feel that higher pitch? And can I now play with that in my speaking? Can I let that be my launch pad into it? So that's kind of a quickie version of how we would begin, and then also how we would begin to play with other skill sets within the technique, such as the Y buzz, for example. The Y buzz has been mentioned a few times as being really a grounding tool. And traditionally, this is felt in the lower part of the range. It's humming, but in English, it would be humming on a Y sound and an E sound kind of together. So this might sound like with the forward face, like I'm going to say yes, but I don't finish the word. And I might glide low. But for your question, Happy Bear, I might play with gliding that up high too. Taking a breath whenever you need. Because I'm going to feel something happening at a different place inside the mouth. And that feeling process of feeling what's happening on the hard palate can then begin to guide me to where I want to place my voice, where I want to sense the voice at that higher range. So I hope that kind of offers an inroad, and I'll turn it over to Jeremy.
Ash, do you need to jump in to greet your raid or anything?
Oh yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
If you can hold it for one moment, Jeremy.
yes. I just want to say thank you to Cirque Lunicus, right? Hello, welcome raiders. Thank you so much for choosing our channel to raid. I hope you had a good time. Everyone, please go and give Cirque Lunicus a follow. And I really appreciate your presence. We're having a discussion about the Lessac Technique today, and it's been really wonderful. So thank you for bringing your community on over. Jeremy, please take it away.
So I just wanted to talk briefly to Happy Bear, and it was Happy Bear, right?
Yes.
Okay. And anybody else, I wrote something down that is an evolution of my own personal experience. Well, one of the reasons why I was taking so many voice development classes with Crystal and Kathy Dunn was because I wanted to change my voice. I lived way up here all the time. I just didn't know how else I can talk. I was up here all the time. I wanted to change my voice to be more manly, more lower. But I guess what I can offer is, yeah, I wanted to change my voice. But now that I've known the work so long, I have expanded my voice. There's so much more vocal variety in my voice. I can go up here and talk here, and then I can go down here. The work will help anybody with what they want to do. And that was a game changer for me. I think that's what drew me so much, because I wanted to sound like a man. And I mean, that's what I can offer from my own personal experience. But I would say, Happy Bear, and anybody else listening, that the work is applicable to anyone for any reason, and it's self-paced. And I think that that's an important thing to think about, that there's no urgency to try to do anything right away. It's that feeling process inside that we feel growth. There's no race, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that perspective. And then I want to take it back to Meadow and Little Percent about how these things helped you, in performing and streaming.
I'm going to totally just send it straight to Percy because I have talked a lot. And then if there's anything to add, I can chime in at the end.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, specifically in Romeo and Juliet, we did training on the Y buzz, and so now every time I go get a bathroom break, I'm just like, yee. So it really helps on the streamer side to give your little voice a little massage. We get into these 12-hour, 8-hour, 4-hour, whatever streams. And so sometimes you need that. So yeah, so I definitely do that all the time. And then as far as, I don't know if this is answering the question or not. I can't quite remember that far back, but I remember thinking, oh, I should talk about that. I don't know the names, and I'm so sorry. I only know a little percent of things, but I think it's Radiant Energy, and there's 2 others, and I use that every time I audition. So those are always good. And you do every one, and then you can figure out how you actually want to say the lines. But it's very, very helpful.
I would say, Meadow, that you could speak to that because I sat in on your rehearsals and you used the body energies in your directing of the scene. Like, my charge was to introduce the body energies of radiancy, potency, and buoyancy to the cast, but you, in the rehearsal process directed with those. And maybe you could address that.
Yeah, I also want to call out that Shelby, Nurse Huckleberry, who's one of the most incredible performers I have ever met on platform or off, has been studying clown and so many different cool techniques to inform what she does. Who you might remember from Romeo and Juliet was putting an @Crystal in chat to tell you that she uses the energy all the time too. Yeah, radiant float power vibrance, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, something that I really actually love to do with stream is when I need more energy, bringing in more radiancy. I think actually we kind of almost have slang for the in Twitch for the different body energies from Lessac. So radiancy in Lessac is like it can be anger, it can be in love, it can be laughter, it can be being cold, anything that causes shake energy. But it's often excitement, and I think really like hype. Radiancy is the energy of hype on Twitch, and then we can start like we can experience that like power up feeling in a chat, especially like when we have that hype energy from a hype train, and then like the whole community is coming together, and there's a lot of potency in that. And potency is this really expansive energy we were all feeling earlier when we did the yawns. Um, and something I really love for finding buoyancy, which I think is the one we need the most as streamers, or at least I know that I do, is if you're in that potency. So like, oh, we take a big yawn, and sometimes I even like to say this. It's gonna feel really, really silly and dorky, but I used to do this exercise in Crystal's class where we'd go, "Oh, it feels so good to get up in the morning," and I'm holding it in a little bit because I don't want to spike my mic. So I hope I did it with adequate potency, Crystal. But if you do that big feel good yawn and you're sending energy out through your fingertips and all through, feeling that expansion through your back, and then you just let it go, then you start feeling this floating energy, and that's buoyancy. And buoyancy is that really lovely, serene, rising up or settling down or coasting along kind of energy that I think is especially valuable to us to come back to and touch base with when we're streaming, because we do have so much of our stream, I think, in those modes of like shake and radiancy and hype and that potency of really like I think we get into like a very potent energy a lot of the time when we're gaming really hard as well, and we have that intense focus, like that line of energy that's like shooting out like Spidey shooting webs. And then buoyancy, it's almost telling that I feel like I can't think of, I don't know if you can, Ash or Percy, think of really like an equivalent, like in terms of our emotes or like slang terms we use in Twitch for buoyancy. And maybe it's because that's one that we aren't in as often, and so it will help kind of balance us out in that trinity of energies to have that calm. Although I will say, when you hang out in the ASMR categories or with people creating ambient music, there's a lot of buoyancy there.
I
Yeah,
was
well,
gonna say any cozy streamer I've ever known
Yeah.
has buoyant energy and I go there and I just completely melt. So, yeah, I appreciate you sharing it in streamer verbs because I'm like, oh yeah, I can definitely utilize this much more, I think, in stream.
yeah.
Oh, Shelby just made such a good point too in chat.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I totally use the energies to redirect if someone goes off from the vibe I'm trying for. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
a good point.
Like after a
Yeah,
crash or a troll or something. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was
100%.
I was also going to say maybe buoyant and energy, correct me if I'm wrong, could be like, when we're just chatting and we're just in between something, but we're vibing. We're vibing with our chat, and it's got that, it's a little bit of energy, but also kind of like relaxed and we're chill. Maybe that could be a way to think of it too.
Yeah,
You are
like it's
totally right.
got a flow. It's an
Yeah.
easy flow. Yeah?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I love that. So, you know what I want to ask y'all too? So, we talked about ways for like before stream or during stream, but is there anything we could do to cool down after a stream, or like when we want to bring our energy back down to maybe like a more restful position because we're done with our work for the day and now we're going to go transition into maybe relaxing with the kitty cat, or, go to get dinner, or just, get out of the streamer brain mode. Is there anything we could do after?
I feel like I can
Definite.
speak heavily to this
Go
because
ahead.
I'm very down after streams typically. And so doing radiant energy things is like how I reset to like balance yourself out. But I feel like now I could actually do the full scale of them to like get yourself back up and then reset to normal, you know?
I
And
think
I'm
what
that's
someone
would
the
who
be
needs the
taking
beauty.
calm,
place?
though.
I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of them, because they're all part of just natural human functioning. And so one day you might need the radiancy reset, and another day, just a little pleasure smell can help center you again. Because actually, the science behind the pleasure smell is that it is sending your breath to the lower part of your body, into your torso. Because nobody smells a beautiful smell and does this. Nobody. Like, nobody takes that high thoracic cavity breath, which is how I used to always breathe. That was my natural go-to. No one takes that when it's pleasurable, because you want that smell to get deep into your marrow bone, you know? You want that smell to like really infiltrate whatever that is. So it's expanding that torso in that three-dimensionality way, nice and low, the same type of breath you might take in yoga or something like that, but through a behavior that's just relaxing and calming. Or maybe you need that charge energy. That's like, I don't know if that's a streamer word for that could be used with potency, but I think of, there's a direct nature to that charging up. I think you said, Meadow, just that maybe I need that for what I have to do next in my life to be invigorating. And thankfully, you can do one or mix them up, and there's no one way, because we're never just one way,
I love that. That's so wonderful. Yeah, thank you for sharing those techniques with us. Meadow or Jeremy, do you have anything else to add with that?
I think I'm actually good here.
Okay,
I know we
awesome.
didn't really get into so much how we use these things during the play, but I think it's actually just more interesting to talk about it in a broader way for streamers, because that's the common denominator of the folks we have listening in and able to potentially make use of this in ways that could be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And but I do want to let y'all know we are pretty much at almost an hour and a half. We've been going for an hour and 25 minutes. But before we transition into sending the chat off to a raid, or, closing out, I want, if somebody really enjoyed this entire session and wants to learn more and wants to continue or get into training with Lessac, or maybe potentially with you all, how can they go ahead and do that?
Well, if you want to dabble a little more and experiment more of the techniques on your own, I can recommend things like I have a very tiny, small YouTube channel that I did to supplement my my online classes during COVID, which has some of the basic techniques that one could explore. And then there's a larger, it's just my name, Crystal Robbins, on YouTube. You'll see a picture there. There's also another certified trainer who has a bigger selection to choose from, who we highly value, and her name is Melissa Hurt, and she's available on YouTube as well. Has a Lessac section with what she does. She's a yoga teacher too, and an author. She's written about this work in relation to acting. And those, of course, would be available just on YouTube for free to check out. Other resources might be to look at where they're at the Lessac Institute webpage. There are Lessac trainers around the world that one could see if there was someone near them, or a lot of us do online trainings. And if you're looking to take, if you've done all of the above and you have that further interest, we do have workshops that are coming up with multiple possibilities for deepening your awareness. We now have a workshop system where someone could come in for just the first week, or they could do 2 weeks, or they could do 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on where the workshop is. Jeremy, there's one coming up really soon that I know you wanted to just mention because you participated in that. Would you want to take over for the upcoming one?
Absolutely. I've taken quite a few intensives over the years, and they've all been excellent. I think it's every 2 years or every other year. They have an intensive at the University of Pretoria outside of Johannesburg in South Africa. That is a game changer. You're immersed with other students or actors or singers who are from South Africa or from the Joburg area or from Cape Town or any other parts of the world who come. It is an incredible experience. You get to learn about different cultures. You can hear different dialects, and you just have the opportunity to work alongside a variety mix of people and see their journey with voice and how it might differ for me coming from the United States. It's a wonderful opportunity, I think, and I should say that these intensives, they do have some availability for those who might want to apply for scholarship, and that's, it's, they work with you if there's a need for that. And I've been very grateful in the past for receiving a scholarship, and I think it's always good to give back. So that's what I try to do once in a blue moon when I can. But I think an intensive is a great way, it's a gateway to get a really full view for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, or like Crystal mentioned, 1 or 2 weeks. It just takes you to the next level. It's a full week of body work, voice work, group projects. It's a thing that I really recommend for anyone, for whatever they're looking for in life.
May I chime in with something too, Ash?
Sure, of course.
I know our clock is ticking down here. I did just want to express, first of all, to piggyback off of what Jeremy just said, that when I attended a Lessac intensive in 2021, I also did so on a scholarship. So that's something I'm extremely grateful for as well, and want people to know they work really hard to make available. The other thing that I wanted to share, though, too, was right. See, Percy. Sorry, I just saw you in chat. But yeah, I just wanted to really bring this home to the digital creator space and Twitch in particular, and streamers here. That if you're listening to this and thinking that this all sounds way too like literally the word is intensive for going to those long sessions, or like, oh, that's only for actors or only for people who are doing professional VO work or something like that. Part of the reason I reached out to Ash about doing this panel and asked Crystal, if we could bring people in and make this happen, is that I would love, if you take nothing else away from this, for streamers watching this to know that this is for you. If that's not something that you already know, whether it's the Lessac technique or other methods of looking after your instrument, recognizing that you as a streamer are in fact a performer, and that we don't have necessarily the same conventional paths of training for that are often offered to people in like the arts in a quote unquote traditional sense, like outside of digital media. But as digital media creators, our instruments are so important to what we do and so important to our being able to express, like I was saying earlier, our authentic voices and the stories that we get online to share, and the passions that we get on our channels to share with our chats. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there of, whatever way you find to look after your body and voice and to empower yourself to maybe learn some technique for those things, you are so much more than deserving of that. And it's something that I think is really valuable to any creator. And that if you thought, oh, like, that's not for me, I'm not a professional, I just want to just like push that out of here and assure you that it is for you if you happen to be thinking anything less of yourself.
Thank you, Meadow, for sharing that. That was absolutely incredible, and I really want to put a +1 on that. Before I start talking, Little Percent, do you have anything else to add with that?
I just want to reiterate everything Meadow said.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Awesome. I mean, I definitely agree. Like, my hope for the future is that people understand that broadcasting, whether you're on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you're a creator somewhere, putting your energy on, through recorded work or live work and putting it out into the world is how much you understand, like, how many similarities there are between this space and, like, the acting space, or, like, the potential for what we can create. And the potential for what we can create, is in our hands. And with tools like these, we can really learn how to master and elevate this space. So I think it was really important to have this conversation today. And I am super, super, super grateful that Crystal, Jeremy, Meadow, Little Percent all gave their time today and their perspectives and all of the things that they learned, to you all through this conversation. So I just want to say a huge thank you to you for being here and for giving us everything that you have, because I have learned a lot and I've gained a lot from this. And I'm sure that anybody who listens into the VOD or was here live has, also gained something from it. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who came, and thank you, Ash, for being such an awesome host.
My absolute pleasure. So before we find someone to raid, and before we head out, I would like y'all again to share a little bit about you, where people can find you, and anything that you want to plug before we go. So I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. I'm gonna go Little Percent, Meadow, then Jeremy, then Crystal.
I guess I'll plug my channel. Hello, Little Percent. If you were not here for the openings, people call me Percy a lot. We do basically blind playthroughs of a lot of RPG games on Twitch. You can find me at little_percent.com. And all of my other socials are linked there. And then the other thing I'm sure Meadow's going to plug this too, but I would just really encourage everyone to check out the rest of the theater week going on here, especially The Importance of Being Earnest. It's very good. It's very funny. I'm very excited about it. I'm also in it, so definitely go watch that. And there's a lot of creators doing cool stuff, so make sure you check out that website, which I'm sure we can link in chat, hopefully.
Yes, I would love that. What is that website, Meadow, by the way?
I am typing it into the chat right now.
Thank you. Thank you. And then Meadow, please let everybody know about what you do, where they can find you.
I'm at twitch.tv/Meadow, but I'm gonna just hype up Percy some more because she's so incredibly humble and so generous to other creators that she didn't even mention that she is producing her own show as part of the Virtual Theater Festival, which you can see on the schedule. Oh. If you click that link that I dropped into the chat, it's called Quick Acts, and this is entirely. I mean, I really want to stress I'm grateful right now. That's the only thing that I want to plug is the festival because it's something I've been working really hard on. But like any collaboration that I have in any way helped to coordinate on this platform, it's only what it is because of all the incredibly cool people who come together and make it happen. So I really want to shout out Percy for jumping in and saying, I'm going to produce a whole show on my channel. And I also want to shout out that there were so many people in this chat today who are part of the Virtual Theater Jam, where we have teams of creators come together. They don't know what teams they're going to be on. They don't know what theme to be given. It's like a game jam, but for creating theatrical content. We've got like writers and actors and people who build cool stuff in OBS and coders and artists and musicians on teams together creating original pieces. And they start tomorrow and they have just 48 hours to make these pieces. So like Cirque Lunicus, who rated here, Birchie Frou Frou, who is being so supportive in the chat. I'm probably forgetting people for sure. And Molly Berry, who's been hanging out all stream, is going to be hosting the final showcase where they reveal the pieces they've made in 48 hours on Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/mollyberry. And you don't have to remember all these things. You can go to that link that Ash dropped in the chat to find them all. And also, I do want to say if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, this seems cool. I kind of wish I could have been part of this, or I would like to do something like this. The reason that I wanted to create something like this is to showcase how many things we can do with all of our like multi-talented selves coming together and collaborating on this platform to create virtual theater. So I hope you will take inspiration from this and make your own things, because it's something I personally would like to see more of on the platform. I will be right there in chat cheering you on if I know about anything that you are doing that is virtual theater related or adjacent. And this was just a trial run of putting together a festival like this. So gonna go ahead and put out right now that we're gonna do this again in early 2025. So if you're interested, hit me up. My DMs are open.
Yay! I'm so excited. Awesome. Thank you, Meadow. And Jeremy, let people know where they can find you, if there's anything, any projects you're involved with that you want people to know about.
Absolutely. I have a new Discord profile I created yesterday, so we'll see how much I can expand that. I would encourage anybody who is interested to learn about Arthur's work, about workshops, intensives. If you're looking to work with a Lessac practitioner, certified trainer, or a master teacher, we have a variety. I would suggest going to LessacInstitute.com, and there's a variety of trainers and master teachers who have availability to work with anybody who wants to explore the work, whether it be on Zoom or in your local city or in another country. So I encourage you to look that up if you're interested. You can find more information about me and any acting projects I'm working on at Jezza, JEZZ Productions.com.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Crystal, please let people know where they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
Thank you. I think it's LessacInstitute.org now. It was .com for a while, but I think it's .org. And I'm on there, but I also have my own website, crystalrobbins.com. I am teaching over the next few semesters, but my next big project that I'm working on is I am going to be leading the U.S. Summer Intensive at DePauw University in Greencastle, Indiana, live, and that begins next mid-June through mid-July, and I am currently taking applications for that. An application can be made for the 1 week, 2 week, or the 4 week, and if you fill out an application and you're interested, then I will be interviewing you for that, and will be available to have more discussion about it in detail for what your needs specifically are. So that's what's coming down the pike for me. Thank you so much. What a great opportunity to meet this creative bunch that you guys are a part of.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I feel like I've learned so much. And again, I just want to say a humongous thank you and shout out to all of my wonderful guests. Please click on those links. Go and check out all of the work that they're doing. And if you're interested in the Lessac Technique, which I very much am interested, like I want to learn more, please go and, click those links and learn more about it. And thank you for your time. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. I'm going to raid out to Thor. Is that cool? Yeah, Thor is live. So
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, panelists, if you're wondering what we're talking about, remember, people were bringing in their community. Now that we're done, we're going to go take the hype over to someone else. And this is somebody that we know and trust. It's also a guild leader for Twitch's Black Guild. So we're going to go hang out with them. And they play games on alternative controllers, which is really fun. And it's going to be a good show. So again, I just want to say thank you so much. And have a great day. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.